Hi everybody and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing this notebook. This is the Dingbats A5 Plus notebook and it's from the Wildlife series, and it's got the kangaroo there on the front. It's all vegan, vegan leather, all that sort of stuff. Really lovely notebook. I'm going to talk about some of the parts and not the parts necessarily, but the features. I'll show some writing samples and things like that. We'll do a live sample and then talk about some pros and cons. So let's talk about the notebook in general first. This was sent to me by Dingbats for review, so I'm very grateful to them. But I have been using Dingbats notebooks for a couple of years. I find them to be really good quality paper, amazing build quality, and just generally a really nice notebook to use. There's something nice about them, about the size, about the stability, all of that. So, as I said, this is a vegan leather cover, embossed there with Dingbats on the back. And as I said, like, they have a range of different covers, different animals and different series, so we get, and this one has the kangaroo on the front. Being from Australia, I thought the kangaroo was a nice touch. It's a nice, sturdy, hard cover. I have clamped off a few pages from where I've used the notebook over the last few weeks. It is, it's a nice, sturdy cover, good sturdy binding. It's got a nice elastic on the front. It's not overly tight, so there's no problem getting it on or off, but it does hold the book nice and sort of secure. It's got an elastic pen loop on the side, and the pages are slightly offset from the edge of the book to protect them, but not so far as to make it sort of a bit, out of proportion, shall we say. So nice, loose enough elastic to be able to actually use, which is good. End pages include a place to write your name and all those sorts of things, and a little bit of information about the how the revenue is some of the revenue is donated. Now it's uses FSC certified paper and vegan materials only, with the World Wildlife Fund. It's good. It's nice to see like these books this brand has a conscience, and that's really nice. Like, they're not just pumping out notebook after notebook. They're thinking about what they're doing, and they're really thinking about the world we live in, which is an important thing at the moment. In the back, once again, end paper with like nice sort of paw prints on it, and then a really nice, actually, expandable pocket with sort of good sort of binding on the sides and all of that. It's good. Like, it's a notebook and it does what it's supposed to do. It protects the it's hardcover, so it doesn't need to go into a case, and as this is A5 Plus, it's just a tiny bit wider than a standard A5. It doesn't need to, because it is a really rock solid item. And so one of the things I've loved about them is writing on your lap is no issue, because you've got a surface to write on. The paper itself is like an ivory color. I've got it in the ruled version here, and it's very smooth paper, and it's quite ink resistant, not perfectly ink resistant, you'll see in the writing sample, but for the absolute majority of fountain pens, this paper is absolutely wonderful. Let's have a look at that. So here is the sort of test page that I have done. You can see, like, I used Diamine Oxford Blue from Sailor Pro Gear, a Mont Blanc Psychedelic Purple, Pilot Blue Black in a Pilot Metropolitan. I've got Graph von Faber-Castell Carbon Black, Diamine and Colt Pens Robert in a broad Visconti Mirage, and you can see that it is sort of quite ink resistant paper, because you do get a lot of nice sheen popping off the page, which is really nice in inks like that. Inks are able to shade well and all of that. It's just good quality paper, and a good quality made book. I've also tested here a rollerball, a gel pen, a ballpoint pen, a 2B pencil, rubbed that out. You do still get a little bit of remaining sort of residue on the page, a highlighter, and a Sharpie marker. Of course, Sharpie marker being an alcohol-based pigment ink, it's going to eat through just about anything. If we turn that over, you see that the Sharpie definitely came through, but nothing else really came through. It's pretty good. The only thing that we get, and this is, as you'll see here, I've done a page which is sort of information about the book, which I'll go over in just a second. This is Noodler's Q Eternity ink, which is an ink that bonds to paper. It's permanent ink, so it actually like absorbs into the paper, and that does come through occasionally, but really I think that performs pretty well. So let's talk about the stats and sort of stuff that I have here. As I said, Dingbats. This is the wildlife collection and the kangaroo. This is A5 Plus, which is 16 by 21.5 centimeters, which is great. Thread bound. If we look at, firstly, a couple of things I want to just quickly show you is that like around the edges of the cover here, it's beautifully sewn. And you know, sort of stitched into the and glued into the end papers here. The actual binding of the book is, I don't know how well it's going to be picked up in the camera. I'll get the little ribbon out of the way. It's like grouped in signatures and sort of stitched in and glued, which is really, you know, good quality work. 100 GSM coated cream paper. So yes, coated, so it's very smooth. 100 GSM means it's nice and sort of thick and sturdy paper, and it is 100% recyclable, and that's the book in general. It's vegan degradable faux leather cover. So no animal products, all of that sort of thing, really good. Acid-free fountain pen friendly paper. It has 192 micro perforated pages. So each page has like a tiny little sort of perforated edge, and I'm going to show, I'll remove one in just a second to show the strength and everything of that. It opens flat, as you can see here. Like sometimes it needs a tiny bit of coaxing, but actually you can see the stitching nicely on where it's opened up there. But it does lay flat, and the beauty of the binding is that like it bubbles out a little bit like that, so that you don't have a hard spine, so it does sort of sit open. As we said earlier, it is FSC paper, so which is the Forest Stewardship Council, which just means it's sustainably grown and resourced, which is good. So things in the book: the expandable pocket, which I showed at the back, handy feature. The pen holder, let's chuck something in there. I'm going to be doing a writing sample here in a second with my Lamy 2000. You know, pen pocket, pen loop in there, nice. And of course, when the book is closed, it sits nicely on the edge there. Fairly sturdy. I don't think you've got anything to worry. Like, you might not want to put your most expensive pens in there, but for sort of everyday stuff, I think it's pretty solid. And it's got a bookmark ribbon, as you can see here, which is a nice length. Not too long, but long enough that you can actually remove it past the corner. Too many that are too short, like you have to pull the book open, whereas this bookmark you can get sort of past the corner to open it up, which can be a handy feature if that is what you're into. So I had trying to do a little bit like research into the company and everything. Dingbats appears to be a UK based company, but the books are made in Turkey. There's actually quite a lot of nice books being made in Turkey that I've come across recently. Okay, so I have put, now in terms of pricing this, you can buy from Dingbats, and the price roughly is £15.95 or £15.95, which is not a super cheap notebook. In Australia, you can get them for about $30, in the US about $22, and that's from places like Amazon and other online retailers. It's a nice book though. Like, you are not I think this book stands up alongside things like the Rhodia Web Notebook, which is in a similar price point here in Australia. And I actually think the paper is slightly better. I'll do a writing sample in just a second. I wanted to show this perforated page. I just have this like extra spare page in here, and like once you get the start, you know, fairly easy and clean. It's nice to have perforated pages. It just means that when you pull a page, if you have to pull a page out, you are not destroying the binding of the book. It sort of keeps it all intact, which is a big plus. Let's do a live writing sample now. So I've got Lamy 2000 here. Got this inked with Lamy Petrol. Lamy, this is quite, and the reason I use this is because it's quite a wet pen. Lamy 2000. It is a medium nib, but typically, like the Lamy 2000s, it is quite a broad medium. As I said, the ink is Lamy Petrol. and you can hear the coat, like these are smooth pens, but you can hear that the paper is very smooth as well. There is very little tooth on the paper, which is I like a bit of tooth, like something like the Baron Fig paper, for instance. But this is a very, very pleasant paper to write on, and as you can see, it's quite ink resistant to the point that the ink is not absorbing straight in. It's taking a bit of time to dry. If we look over the page, there's nothing there either, sort of coming through. When this dries, there will be a little bit of sheen and things like that. So let's talk about some pros and cons of the Dingbats A5 Plus notebook. Well, firstly, there's lots of pros here. Like 100% recyclable, good quality paper, thread bound, so it's nice and strong. It's acid free, so it has archival properties. It's got nice features like the expandable pocket, a pen holder, the bookmark, all of those sorts of things. But also, what is really nice is the fact that firstly, there's also a range of different color covers with different animals and things like that. So you should be able to find something sort of. I've used a couple of like the grey ones with the elephant on the front, for instance. So you should be able to find something, but their social conscience is great. The fact that they donate a portion of profits within the UK to wildlife research and conservation and things like that, and the fact they use no animal products, that they they pride themselves on being recyclable, and all of those sorts of fundamentals of the business is really, really nice. The quality of the book is great. The build quality is awesome. They stand up. Like this one has been used for a couple of weeks, sort of around the house. It's been taken out occasionally, it has stood up. Like there's no damage to the binding. There's a tiny little bit of a stitch loose there, but that's not really an issue. I could fix that with a lighter in a split second. Like it's all holding up quite nicely. The elastic is solid. Like occasionally there's like a little bit of like bubbling in the spine, but really that's not a big problem. So it's a good quality notebook, well made, and I think pretty reasonably priced. One of the only cons I have for this book, two cons really. One is that because it's A5 Plus, finding a cover for it, if you desire one, will be slightly harder. You might need to, sort of look at slightly bigger covers as opposed to sort of standard A5. But like it is strong enough to sort of survive, without a cover. The other issue is just that like it actually is quite a big notebook, and it's quite like, even for an A5, it's quite heavy, it's quite sort of thick. And so if you are looking for something that is slim to fit in your everyday carry, or if you're trying to have a lighter carry, this is quite a heavy, bulky notebook. But alongside that, what goes with that, of course, is the quality of the build and the strength of the build. So I really like these. I think they are well priced in the market. I think that the paper is excellent. They're reliable, they're consistent. So like, I think if you are looking for a notebook that is a little bit different to, say, the Rhodia Web notebook or a Leuchtturm 1917, you want something that's a good size. They come in a range of sizes. So there's like the A5 Plus, I think there's an A4-ish size version, A6 sort of version, and both in the landscape and portrait modes of the smaller notebooks, which is very, very cool, and good quality paper, things like that. So check out Dingbats. Check out your local retailers that sell them, places like Amazon and things like that as well. I think they're worth looking at. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. Please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at @the_offstage_me, or you can contact me on any of my videos here, or drop me an email, which is also listed down below. If there are products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you'd like to support the channel by sponsoring a review or providing an item for review, please get in touch. I would love to hear from you. It's your support that makes this channel and all my videos possible, so thank you. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy your notebooks, and I'll talk to you soon.